All yours, cats. Hello, everyone muted?
I don't know if I'm having problems. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're a bit quiet.
I hear you. I didn't hear anything when you were doing the intro. Did anyone in chat hear anything?
I didn't.
That's strange. I heard the music.
No, we didn't hear. That's what I was trying to figure it out because I wasn't hearing that and I thought it was me, but I guess not. But anyway,
we have sound now.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you everybody to this hangout again. Taking your time in your day to see this. I hope you guys understand what they're gonna say. If you have questions, please hold them and they'll answer them. And so I'll give it to FPV and you guys be blessed. Go ahead, FPV.
Okay, cheers, cats. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we're just going to give you some more updates of research and information we've been looking at for the last couple of weeks. I'll just screen share this. What we're going to do here is give you a little tour and a breakdown of the grid and some of the overlays on it, just to help you familiarize yourselves with the grid and what's therein, basically. Can you all see that, yeah? Anyone? Everyone's gone quiet.
I see it. I'm sorry. And it's on screen and chat too.
I don't know what's happened, but everyone's audio has gone very quiet on me. Anyway, let's get on with the tour. Right, so information on screen at the moment. Scripturally speaking, we've got the angels in the north, south, east, and west. The 24 elders referenced in scripture could be attributed to these 24 here. The 8 leaves of the lotus leaf can be referenced to these 8 here. And Brahma, the creator, being the item at the center, being referenced in Hindu beliefs. The grid, the 12 by 12 grid in the background, it's the Sun Star of Peru mandala from the set of Nazca lines. The 8 by 8 grid, which is the one you see more in white, that's the Nazca mandala. I use this to overlay with maps. This is sacred geometry from Nazca lines again. And the concentric circles are part of the 12 by 12 grid. It's a grid of 6 squares, 6 circles, and 6 rhombi. So a little information on those. We'll zoom in a bit more. Right, we're going to go through some of the locations on here. We haven't fully finished this, but we'll try to give you a little tour on some of them that's visible now. Some of these ones here, you know, like Madagascar. If you look on Madagascar, you will see a volcano in that region. This one here is also a volcanic island, as is this one. This one, it's constantly getting constant earthquakes in that region, and we can attribute that to this connection here, I would say. This one here in the Gulf of Mexico, it could be responsible for a lot of weather phenomena and things going in there. This one we need to look at a little bit more. Some of these we've referenced before, but we'll zoom in and give you a little tour starting near the top. So we'll start up in this corner up here. That's the island of Svalbard. I think that's how you pronounce it. We're just going to show you little places on this grid to see how it references things in the world. Now this one here is interesting, the Baltic Sea anomaly. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's well worth looking at. It's a feature on the seabed. It looks like there's been movement to it and it's there. It's on our grid, it's at this location here, interestingly. Right where the cross is. Coincidence? Perhaps. We'll move on a bit from that one. Kola borehole. Now this image is the wrong one I've found out since attaching it to this, so ignore the image, but the Kola borehole, the deepest hole that man's drilled so far, being, I think it's around about 8 miles. Very coincidental, it's right on top of one of our white spots on our grid, don't you think? right in the same location this is appearing. This is where this borehole is. We'll continue on. As an aside, by the way, we do know earthquake data from these is roughly about 8 miles down. We'll carry on from that one. German Continental Deep Drilling Program. Here's another one, right on top of one of our little white dots. Our angels. Coincidental? Getting to be a few of them lately. But that's where it is. Same location. There's a bit of a pattern there, I hope. Okay, the Bosnian Pyramid. This location here, this is where the Bosnian Pyramid is. Coincidental, it's on our grid in this location? No, I don't think so, because if you've watched some of our previous research, we've seen the signal on the mimic map from this direction. It got to this location here, which we'll go into in a moment, and it splits into 3 directions. The one signal split into 3 directions at this location here, and this one terminating in the Bosnian Pyramid. Very interesting. Now here's the location the signal came to before it split into 3, Mount Etna. What's the chances of that? And not only that, the one that went this direction, it also went through the Vesuvius and a few others in this location. Signals going to and from volcanoes, guys, and pyramids, or underneath pyramids, I should say. Now this one, Astrakhan, we haven't found a lot of information that we can say, you know, anyone's drilling there or anything of that kind of reference, but we can only look at history for this location. History being, you know, there's been lots of wars and over this particular part of the area. Whether it's related to that, I don't know. Thinking about it, it probably is. While it's in that location, as an aside here, in this sea here, there's an anomaly that plays havoc with GPS equipment. Now remember I said the signal goes down here and splits into 3. This one signal that goes down here towards the Bosnian Pyramid would be very well be responsible for that GPS anomaly. Because what it does when it happens, it's not constant, it's pretty random. In fact, when the authorities were looking into it, they thought it was people hacking GPS, because what it was doing was telling ships they were on a runway on land. It was locating the ship somewhere else on land, when it was actually in the sea near this location. Yeah, there's another interesting anomaly that might be answered by this grid and its signaling. Right, this one. The only information I can find there, this one, is on Google Earth. There's a location north of there called Buried at Sea. I thought, wow, what's Buried at Sea involving? It turns out Norway, for nearly the past 10 years now, Norway has been pumping CO2, millions of tons of CO2 into underground chambers in this location. Now, to pump in millions of tons of CO2 down there, that's got to suggest that wherever they're pumping it is a very big place. You know, this has gone on for nearly a decade. And according to them, it's to do with global warming. Apparently, they put it under the ocean and they monitor it rising. Well, that to me sounds pretty dangerous. You know, CO2 can kill. If millions of tons of that got released into regions where public live, you know, we're talking catastrophe. But it seems very reckless and irresponsible to me what they're doing there. Maybe guys that can look into that further would be, you know, check that out, guys. That doesn't sound right to me, what's going on there. I don't think it's what they're saying it's for anyway. And if it's related to this grid, then why would they be wanting to freeze chambers down here? Why are they drilling in these areas? So that would be my concern with that region. We haven't gone too much into other details on the other ones yet. You can see from this one here, this one can either be Riyadh or Mecca, going by its position in here. So what we're looking at here is grid accuracy. We're trying to see how accurate this grid is in relation to locations or even events in the world, and it's turning out to be very accurate. So just a little tour, just you know, we call it grid accuracy. We've still got more to do on it, but yeah, you know, just for one little small area, that's a hell of a lot of information just from there alone. So hold on, switch back, and I'll just stop screen sharing and see if anyone's got any questions or want to add anything to what was on screen there. Any of you guys?
Allergic to Bullshit has a question. I don't have the answer. Do star forts line up on the grid?
Yeah.
Star forts, I would not be surprised if they did. We haven't looked at them ourselves. I've seen Martin Leakey's been looking at them, but I haven't been positioning them. We've got too much other things on. But if anyone wants a copy of this map and to add them to it, by all means, go for it. You know, just ask one of the people that comes in our back chats for the copy of the map or the grid. And if you want to try and plot things on there, by all means, go for it. And it turns out they're in interesting locations, then yeah, it's very well worth presenting.
From Jamie, it says, "Why is Alaska and Russia on the opposite side of the map when they are right next to each other?" And so
Well, they're only next. They're only
or
next.
one.
They're only. Is that for you? One or me? I'm not sure of the questions to. I'm going to reconnect, guys. My audio has gone really low, and I don't know why. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, Juan, can you answer that question?
I can try. So I can give you a couple of different ideas to play with. Because do I know the absolute answers? No. And I'm not even going to pretend to. However, with earthquake data, what I have noticed is that Russia gets deep quakes, okay, right up by that little peninsula that sticks off of northeast Russia. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, however. So the way quakes work is that if there's a deep earthquake, that it will spread out into shallower, larger movement. What I've noticed is when the deep quakes happen up there by that peninsula, it should reach over and hit larger and more shallow by Alaska. That's not what happens. Okay, so what happens is the deep quake hits up there and it actually spreads southwest down along that island ring. Okay, and then it hits Indonesia and then it wraps back up around through India and it runs through Europe, splits off, goes down to Spain, up to Iceland. So that's all I have to go on, really. I mean, we have other data, but as for the two being close to each other, if they are, I don't understand why earthquakes work a certain way in every other part of the world and not there. And that's...
I can look a bit further if you want.
Very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, what you're looking at, Jamie, they're only close together if you're wrapping it around the globe. Now, we know the globe's bullshit, mate, so we have to open it out. Everything has to be flattened. And this is the model and map we're following. This is the map done by Series. What he did was he took the Google images, which we know are rounded off. He used an algorithm and squared the images back, and this is the image that it reproduced. Now, knowing images when they're taken as square, all he's done is re-squared them all back off, and it's presented what the map should look like. So, you know, it's not just this part. This is only a third of, well, this is roughly half of the map. No, sorry, 2/3 of the map. There's another third up the top you're not seeing. But, you know, it's all obscured information up there on the data he gathered. So we couldn't, you know, we can't point out land masses. It's that bad. It's just a mess of colours. But there is another third to this that sits above this area. So, you know, that already suggests the map's a lot larger than they're telling us, with north, south, and definitely east and west, but by the Nazca line overlays that we're using. So, yeah, these are the two farthest parts in the world, basically. So, hopefully, hold on, I'll just put my mouse on the screen so you can see where I'm pointing. Well, I did release a video earlier about how they're faking the flights in the north to fake the globe. Is what they're doing. Say a flight wanted to go from here to China, say. Now on the globe, all they have to do is go that way, don't they, and come round here, basically. Or either going round here. What they're really doing is flying west for a little while, then they go north. They come on going east over Greenland, and then they're dropping down over Russia, and then heading south and landing in China. We know this because we've captured them doing it on Flight Radar 24, and it's in one of our previous videos. On Flight Radar 24, there was a wingtip of an aircraft sticking just inside the map. You know, on the map they use, which is the Mercator, the Mercator's basically been derived from this, in my opinion. So I clicked the wingtip, and it showed the trajectory of the flight was doing this. So, you know, you got aircraft going off radar, taking the globe, basically. It was up here doing this. So that tells us we're still, you know, to me, that debunks the globe, the AE map, and the 4D thinking, because the 4D thinking, you know, they're saying you can go here and pop out here, Pac-Man idea. No, sorry. The reality is these are the two farthest distances apart. So they've got to fake getting back into across these two coasts. Hope that answers it for you, mate. Anyone there? It's gone very quiet.
I'm here. He wants to know if the Bering Strait doesn't exist.
Well, I would say it exists, but it's you know, you got to ask yourself why your ship's being heavily escorted in those areas. Because on our grid, I'll just put that back on. I'll point with the mouse. You can see that, yeah. You know, shipping going up here has to be heavily escorted. You have to ask yourself why. Because these are here. This is the portals that was referenced in scripture. This is their location. Same with Amelia Earhart's flight. She came across here, and she went missing here. They were never going to let her get to this location because you're just going to see things here you're not supposed to see. So down here, this area is going to be heavily protected, as is this area, and this area. This one being the closest to known landmass because New Zealand's only several thousand miles away from these locations. Well, you know, this is going to be a heavily guarded and protected area around here. If you don't understand or follow the research we're doing, portals, gates, electronics, mechanics, this is the model that we're presenting. Going by our research, this is how it works. All the decodings we've done with Nazca lines, geoglyphs, petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, sacred geometry, scriptures. The list goes on. But, you know, it's all pointing to how this model works, explaining the workings of the realm. Because what we did, we threw everything away we thought we ever knew and went back to what we've got left. And what we've got left is scriptures, geometries, you know, all the things that were left. And they do tell a story. They're all telling the same story, in fact. Doesn't matter which culture you look at now, it all translates to what you're looking at here. Now, how can, like in the book of Enoch, Enoch describes these portals being the north, south, east, west. How could he possibly be describing something I've took from the Nazca lines and overlaid on a world map? These are from the Nazca lines, remember. So how can Enoch possibly be referencing something from the Nazca lines in his descriptions? It's, you know, it tells you you're onto something. It's not sacred for no reason. It's sacred geometry for a special reason. And it all is. It's not just the geometry of what's at the Nazca lines. Look around the world, all this old geometry, it's all telling the same story of the construct. We've just forgot through God knows what means, but we all seem to have forgotten how it works. But looking at all these glyphs and scriptures and geometries, we all knew how it worked. We were taught how it worked, and we depicted it. It's everywhere. So, you know, this is where we're coming from with this model. It's got a hell of a lot of support for it in the background that just keeps popping up and confirming things.
There's a it says, what do the NASA? Yeah, there's a question for you. What do the Nazca lines imply existed outside this realm? And he says, thanks.
Yeah, on the Nazca lines, you know, I can place them over this map that we've got on the screen. They fit nicely over this overlay, and depict a lot of the underworld and the events going on therein. But going beyond the Nazca lines, on this map, going southeast. If I travel southeast, and I'll put my mouse on the screen. Now, the Nazca lines end this region here, say at the bottom, that I can see for all this grid, and then going down towards Chile and Google Earth, you're going to start finding them again, which on the scale we're looking at between Nazca and Chile suggests there's more to this realm and technology southeast of our known world. It's a great distance away. You know, it's not close. Going by the scale, if it's the same scale, which it does look like the same scale as these geoglyphs that we've seen at Nazca, then it suggests there's another realm southeast of ours, quite a distance away. I couldn't give you a number on the miles, thousands and thousands of miles going southeast, though it suggests on the Nazca line scale. Right, we'll jump to the next one if you want. Yeah, is that it for the that one? Has anyone got any questions on what we've shown so far? So the North Pole is the North Pole is at the top of the map because, well, that's the northern gates. So I would say that's what the reference is, the North Pole, up north of Greenland. On the E map, I think they put it in the centre, but the centre, I'm not sure why they would want the North Pole in the centre. That's suggesting it's a globe. You can't scalp the globe and just take the top part of it off, keep the pole in the centre, and say, you know, that's the North Pole. It's not. It's north, true north. it's north of what we're looking at here. Remember, this is a flat map. And like I said, you know, we're going by scripture, geometry, the aligning and alterations we've done to the grid to get it to line up with events and happenings in the real world. I'll show you a bit more. Hold on, I'll stop presenting this and I'll put another one on.
It's very interesting what you guys do, isn't it? Hi, Alex. I'm just gonna name some people until you get that ready. Allergic, hi, Patrick James, Jason, Juan, Sandra. Let's see. Mr. Minsa. That's how you pronounce it. Shalom. Hi. Just put it. Steven. Flat Earth Underground. Mi amiga. Impressed. Am I missing anybody? Well, anyways, thank you all for coming, and hi, FPV to come back.
Okay,
also, wanted to add one more thing about the Russia-Alaska thing. I put it in chat, but just in case people are just listening and not reading chat. So if you travel there from Alaska, you lose 20 hours. I just think that's a little odd. If they're so close, that's it.
Hey, I didn't even know that. You learn something every day.
They're directing the flights in different ways.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
go
It's
ahead,
easy done.
Deputy.
If you control the software that's plotting the flights on
Alrighty.
Flight Radar 24, it's easy to manipulate and flip data, and they just mess up now and then. You know, like we've seen them aircraft flying sideways and backwards according to the avatar. Yet, you know, it's because they're flipping data and forgetting to flip the avatar. That's what it looks like anyway. And it's easy with people in Canada are seeing they're seeing volumes of traffic coming in from the northwest. You know, now where's that coming from? It's that traffic that they're used to seeing going out the way and you know, incoming and outgoing traffic. So yeah, they're going up there, and that confirms what we're seeing on Flight Radar. They're going north and then sneaking over the top of Greenland and coming south again. And it also makes sense. That's probably another reason why they're building more airports in northern Russia, because they are getting caught out. Remember, these ones getting caught out that have to land in Alaska. That works on this model, because they've been caught out going over the top of Greenland. They've had an emergency. First, the next stop's going to be Alaska, so it makes sense that's what's going on. So that doesn't just work for an AE map, if it does work at all on that map, but it does work no problem on this map. What I'll go through here.
There's a question.
More questions? Okay, hold on.
Question. It said, he says, are you saying that the North Pole isn't the center? Center.
Yeah, there's no North Pole in the center on our map or model. It's north of Greenland. Yeah, the gates in the north, southeast, and west, the poles.
And according to scriptures, there's 4 corners, right? Not one, and then south. So it's based on scriptures.
East, west, north, south.
Yeah, northeast, south, and west. And Enoch talks about all 4 corners in great detail.
Yeah, you know, I can see where he's coming from, but he's thinking of the E map or that kind of the pizza style map, where they seem to think North Pole's in the center, but on the center of our map, that's, you know, that's not the center of our map. That's not the map we follow. We have tried other maps, and this is the one that works for us. You know, so it tells when real world data is tying in with our research, it tells us we're on the correct map, and so far it hasn't failed. It's producing and continuing on the research with it. I'll go into a bit more detail about it now with how the sun operates on it. So I'll present this to you and talk you through it. Right, what you're looking at here is this orange bar going up and over. I've kind of put that there so you can see what these 6 halos are doing. Okay. This is for the sunrise, basically. This is the sun's path. Because once it rises, it has to come up and follow a path, get to its zenith, and then come back down the other side. And then there's 2 options how it gets back, because you've got the 24-hour sun. And of course, another way of getting back that we're going to go into another presentation. Other things on screen, I've added the Nazca lines here, so you can see what the sun does in relation to those, so you can get an idea what I meant by it's. I can see the world map in there. Our map from an overhead view with the grid, so you can see what the sun's doing here. And what you're looking down in the bottom right, this is footage from Noumea 3 station, which is allegedly in South Antarctica. I say allegedly because information tells me it's actually in the east. In fact, in reality, there's going to be one of these in every one of these positions, north, south, east, west, these 4 heavily protected areas. Because these are research stations and they're going to be monitoring these 4 positions. Anyway, so I'm putting this one in the east because if you remember, Buzz Aldrin went to Antarctica, which was allegedly here where my mouse is, and he took ill. So where did they take him? All the way over there to New Zealand Hospital. Why go that far when you could, half the distance would have took you to South America or South Africa? So, you know, it's telling me he was actually here, and this is the closest place to it in New Zealand. You'll see why I'm also putting this here, because you're going to see a sunrise from here that defies. Well, check it out. I've added this clip just so you can watch a sunrise, and this would go in line with what we're saying, how the sun is a projection. So check this out and watch it, and I'll talk through it as it's going along. So here, bottom right, sunrise from Antarctica, which is really the East Gate. So off it goes in all three of these windows. So you can see now how the three relate to each other. The Nazca lines, this will be the sun's path. The Toomey, the ceremonial life, this is where it would shut down if it's not recycling it into a 24-hour cycle. 24-hour sun being this dotted line, or this halo here that it's going around. Look at the altitude of it, going by footage we've seen from people's cameras in the north. It's not that high in the sky, so it suggests it's going around one of these. So that would be, our best guess would be this one. It's going around the edge of these. Of course, though, this one here, it doesn't just go in a straight line. It does get maneuvered round here and there, like my mouse is showing. I just haven't added it. But that's the kind of movement it would be doing. So two options, like I said, the 24-hour sun in the northern summer and the southern summer. It doesn't. I'm not sure if it's doing this. We haven't got evidence that there's a 24-hour sun down here yet. But we're going to go into something in another presentation on the sun's. Hold on, Cats. We're going to go into more detail in another presentation about another return path we're working on. Carry on, Cats. What was that? Say again, Cats. Hello? Where's the room gone?
Shoot, I'm here. Sorry.
How does it relate?
Hold
on. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I just wondered why no one's replying. Or any questions in the chat?
Yeah.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I think it's my end. I don't know what happened, but when we went live, all my audio went quiet. But it doesn't matter. I can still hear you. It's just a lot quieter than it usually is.
How does it relate to the scripture?
Well, can you hear me? Because I'm having
How does it relate to scripture?
You're cutting in and out, Cats. That's cutting in and out. I can hear you sort of, and then not. I can't hear you.
Nah, you're breaking up on me as well, Cats.
There, it's close enough.
Yeah. How does this relate to scripture? Well, if you go by Enoch's descriptions or the ones in the Bible, you know, you got to go to the cherubims and how the setup before the sunrise was being performed. The cherubim sitting on some vehicle, and then its wings lifted up, and then the sun was there before them, basically going up into the sky. So that was the projector starting up. So these are the portals referenced by Enoch. You know, the sun's coming from portals being gates, the north, south, east, and west gates. So scripturally referenced, it's you know, it's matching up. We have been asked about a dome. We can't see a dome in our research. We have seen references to it everywhere, looking through scriptures and things, but it's not something we can say, yeah, that's it there. But because there is lots of references to it, you know, I'm not writing it off. It does suggest there's something we're not seeing yet, that we're not seeing beyond these halos. But yeah, you know, my mind's open if there's a dome or not. I would not be surprised. But like I said, guys, would be our theory of what's going on with the 24-hour sun. We're going to be presenting something on another return path in a future presentation. So keep that in mind. But as another aside for research, if this is correct, one way of confirming this would be to launch a high altitude balloon from Australia a few hours before sunrise to give it time to get to altitude, because you are going to see the sun come up this path. You're going to catch it below the horizon, in other words. Clear as day, it should be below the horizon, as long as you can get a high altitude balloon up here before it rises. I would say these locations here are where the balloons are popping. So yeah, if you can get a balloon up the side of this post here, or this one here, you know, think of this as a glide slope, and it's got to climb up and come down. So yeah, places you want to be launching balloons to catch the sun below the horizon, because it has to have a slope to climb up. You know, it's not just coming towards us or doing its path like my mouse is showing here. It does have to gain altitude going by these halos, because we can see it is being manipulated and moved around, and the elevations have to be changing for it to start here and end here, or continue round. You can see when it comes round, I'll just put it back to that clip again. You can see something very unusual here, there. Watch this here. You see that there? See how it come round, got to that point, and then continued again? See that? Very unusual, don't you think? You know, to see our sun do a maneuver like that. It came down towards that station, then jumped back up into the sky. You can go on YouTube. These videos are all over YouTube. They've, I think, around about 2015, 2016, they started using a green screen to hide this. You can find all the videos from New Mayfree Station and look at the footage. You're going to see some amazing footage of very strange things going on, and you can only relate it to luminaries and the behavior. You know, you would say that's not a sun, but if you think it's technologically controlled, then it can do that quite easily. Jimbo could give you a better breakdown of what it's doing, but that is what it's doing, you know, confirmed by their own cameras. You can't get away from that. And that would explain this being a portal gate system. It was just coming back round. It continued back on again, which falls in line with our research. And our sun, you know, sunrise is the technological startup and projection, and off it goes. With the technology moving in the underworld and the projection responding accordingly in the heavens. That's how it works in this model.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you, cats. Yeah.
Okay, in chat, can you guys hear me? Or yes? How do the stars show up when it's night? Is it Earth or what? Can you explain the luminaries? I think that's what they're called.
How are they seen at night?
Can you answer that question, one or FPV?
Well, I'd say the daylight light source and sun are stronger than the light source of the stars. We can't see
we all
them in the
know
daytime.
that. I believe there's no stars, okay? But I know it's
The stars are the roadmap to what's going on in the underworld. It's showing us the projections from below, because it's energy being formed and transmitted from the below to the above. FPV probably has a more technical explanation, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would say it's the mains would put it like this. It's the At night time, the stars come out at night to show people a map of the underworld. That's basically what the Mayans believe in, and I would agree with them, because all those stars, all those projections are telling the story of the events in the underworld. You know, to us, scriptures, sacred geometry, and all the various types of glyphs we're coming across, they're all relating to the underworld and its workings, and it's all luminary related. So the stars are no exception. They're telling a story of what's going on in the underworld, a very amazingly detailed story of events. And when you start looking at what they really mean, these constellations, it's a big story of movement and actions going on in the underworld. It makes perfect sense to us. It's telling the story, and it is a map of the underworld, or locations and workings therein, basically.
We get those then. The reflection on myself.
Yeah, I mean, it does encompass a lot of things, this research. We can give lots of answers now for things we hadn't even considered before, to do with the workings of the earth or the mechanics of the world. It's helped our knowledge increase just by looking at certain things in this, and what we've learned thereafter. It's a case of, wow, expansion of knowledge. We know a bit more. We can understand how that part works. It's just a continually a big learning curve. We're always learning. We're always finding new things, exciting finds, very amazing references that you can point a finger at and say, yes, this is what they were speaking about in scripture or in glyphs or everything, really. It's an amazing story that we can't believe, it's coming to life before our very eyes, and it's referencing everything we've looked at. And we have looked at everything. We don't leave stones unturned, do you?
There's a question for you, FPV.
Jamie, is the Bali to Los Angeles flight with the Alaska diversion a hoax? If it did land there, and it kind of confirms what we've just been saying about them coming from the north and having no choice but to come to Alaska on the way in. So that would confirm again what we were saying, Jamie. I would have to look at that flight, but if that's from Bali to Los Angeles, I would have to look at the flight to see where it's gone from and going to, and then judge myself looking at what we've seen already going on in the north of the flight radar. But yeah, if they're going to Alaska and they shouldn't be there, if they're popping up there and they should be nowhere near there, it kind of confirms what we're saying. There's hidden flight routes in the north, and they're getting caught out now and then with emergencies and exposing themselves by having to land at airports that shouldn't be on that route.
But he's right. It should be easy enough. It should, if they're the closest points, hey, let's find somebody in Alaska and let's put them on a boat. Or
well, Sarah Palin, she's a politician, isn't she? According to her, she can see Russia from her home. I would say, no, you can see a piece of landmass that some people in Russian uniforms are standing on. You have no idea what that landmass is unless you actually go there and start mapping it.
Exactly.
If you're gonna push the globe lie, it's easy done. If you've got access to all that land, you put a few soldiers there. Because don't forget, they're all working together. All these countries got space agencies, nuclear power, electricity.
Don't forget, she's a politician, so she's in on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
unclean lips.
Exactly.
Yeah, do you trust a politician? Well, does she trust her own eyes? Does she know? Does she really think she's looking at Russia, or does she know better? We would say she's not looking at Russia. Russia and Alaska are divided by the Bering Strait, which is about 55 miles at its narrowest point. Well, she's got very good eyesight then, if she can see 55 miles. Maybe she's got a P900. She wants to get that as a globe destroying proof then, if she can see something that far away. Isn't it? Sarah Palin just debunked the globe.
Well, and to prove that it's actually Russia, I'm sorry, you'd have to actually travel there, like I said, in a boat, or in an airplane and somehow be able to be low enough to track. Because if there's just land out there and we're not aware of it, like you said, you could be looking at anything. You could raise a balloon up and see land, but is it Russia? Is it really? I mean,
Yeah.
go there and get off the strait and keep on going in a vehicle on the land that's there. And if you start to run into Russia, well, then okay. But if you don't, then there's land.
The best way to see if it is like someone in chat just said there, get a balloon flight up. You know, get a balloon flight up in Alaska, get it to a nice 100,000 feet. Put a gimbal on it so it's nice and stable as it's looking around. If that landmass you're looking at across that water doesn't look the same as northeast Russia on the map, then it confirms again you're looking at a piece of land that you didn't know existed. And that's what we would say it is. If there's land there on our map, it cannot be Russia. So it has to be another landmass or islands or who knows what she's looking at. I've no idea. But yeah, the best way of confirming that would be a balloon. Well, it's the cheapest way, isn't it? As long as you get the balloon back, you know. Big place, Alaska, so you might have to travel 100 miles to find your balloon.
Tammy has another question. Alaska is further away than Los Angeles from Bell.
Yeah, but yes, Jamie, but if they're coming in from the north and they've got an emergency, they have to land at the nearest airport, which in that case is Alaska. It can't carry on to Los Angeles. It was going to Alaska. Oh, wait a minute, Alaska is further away than Los Angeles. I'll have to look at the flight there, Jamie. I haven't looked at that particular flight. Alaska is further away than Los Angeles from Bali on the Mercator map. Yeah, I'll check it out, mate. Have to remind myself. I'll check out the flight and see if it makes sense on this map, or you know, I'll get back to you with another update perhaps in one of our next research streams. But I'd have to look at the data and see what's going on, and then find out does it work on this map, what happened. So far, like I said, you know, so far we haven't had any issues. But yeah, any flights that have been caught out in the past, it's still worth checking up on them. I know I've looked at one before and it made sense, but it wasn't the one you're referencing, so I'll have to look at that one. But yeah, I'll check it out for you, mate, and get back to you and see how it works out on this, because I'm not sure on the details of the flight. But yeah, I would say if they had to land there, it was for a reason, an emergency.
Does the flight have something to do what you are doing right now in research?
Wait a minute. Are you thinking it's going straight across the map, Jamie? Because if you think it's coming from east and just flying west straight across the whole map, that's not what it's doing. Remember, it's flying north and coming in from the north. So Alaska then becomes the closest place it's going to have to land at if it's coming in from the north. Remember, they're trying to fake the globe, so they're flying north off the radar and then coming back in on the map up above Canada and Alaska. So Alaska is going to be the first point of entry, really, if it's flying that route. Hidden routes in the north. So yeah, consider that if you know the flight already, just bear in mind that as they come in from the north, that's still going to be the first place they're going to arrive at before they continue on or go wherever else they were going. Whatever they're doing, they're trying to fake the globe, and the flight will reveal it one way or another. Great circle routes. Well, like I said, Jamie, we've seen them going off the radar on flight radar, so I'm not sure what you would call that route, but it's obviously an unknown route. That's now, it's now been noticed because we've detected it going on the on flight radar. So yeah.
Isn't it almost what she's from Canada? Oh my gosh, she's my sis. She's in the tribe. My Jesus, I can't believe I forgot her name. But anyways, the flight from Canada to Alaska or Hawaii, they go all the way around. I remember she said that.
Yeah, I would have to look at each flight individually to see where it's going from and to, and then look at our model and see, what it's really doing. Because you can't trust their data, what they put on flight radar. We know that. I don't believe any of that data on flight radar. You know, the ones going across the Atlantic, yeah, fine. You know, that looks as fairly straightforward flight. But the ones like far west and far east, you know, there's something dodgy going on, where they're having to sneak north to fake the globe. Because that's all they can do on this model. They would have to sneak north or south to fake coming around the globe and coming back in, basically. Plus, not to mention, all the other data we're looking at comes from Mercator maps. You know, everyone's using a Mercator map for real world data, like shipping. You know, shipping's using the same map. The same applies to them. They would have to go north or over around past Greenland and come back in by the Bering Strait to get to China. So, you know, that's the only place they can do it. You know, that's the reality of it. This is how you're going to catch them out. You know, once you look at the routes, there's only a few routes they can really use on this model, and they will get caught out sooner or later, you know, using them. Military, same again. The military use the Mercator, weather mapping, they use it. What else is there? We have looked at lots of, you know, we found all of them are using the Mercator. So, you know, you look at the globe. The globe's just the Mercator wrapped around the ball, very badly wrapped around the ball, in fact. You know, we can see the chopped parts of it out in the east and west.
There's two questions. You might want to answer them. One is from Jamie Brown, the other Mr. Menz.
The center, right, question to Mr. Menzer. Hello, dude. How did you know where the center of the grid and also the size of the grid? The size of it came first because I had to scale it to make sense on this map, as I did with other maps. And then it was a case of lining up and rotating it around to start matching real world information. Like I said, with the signal on the mimic map being detected, that helped me reposition the grid to put those three locations where the signals on that tour showed you where they were going to the Bosnian pyramid. So that was a nice lineup. But not only that one, on the 8x8 grid, that plate Jimbo found in Greenland, it now aligns perfectly with part of the 8x8 grid in the center where it crosses through Greenland. So it tells you that plate Jimbo found on Google Earth in 2011 is part of the 8x8 grid, and it's sticking out of the ground in Greenland, which is probably the reason why they cover it with snow so you can't see it anymore. But it was seen in 2011 in Google Earth, and Jimbo captured it.
And not to mention, or well, we're going to mention that the Oak Island crew found another piece of a probable plate in their expedition, and it's lined up right where that part of the grid is.
Yeah, it's probably going to be more popping up, you know, like that grid tour. That little tour alone shows us the accuracy of the grid. You know, we got quite a surprise when we started looking at what's in them locations where them dots are. And like I said, it does get a bit political, so you're now looking at a political map as well. The real world map, the real world grid that they all want, I would say. But, you know, if people ask why would they hide the shape of the world, I think you're going to find the answer in our research. Hiding the creator and the creation. Now, back to the creator, you know, I'm not going to profess I know who the creator is or what the creator is, but this is a technological and a mechanical masterpiece built on a scale we can barely comprehend. So, you know, it does suggest giants and titans were used in the construction of this. Beyond that, you know, there's not much more we know about the creator other than they were definitely an intervention in the humans' evolution. Basically, we were progressed technologically, and we became more civilized. This, if you look at scripture, it mentions your iniquity is taken away and your sin is forgiven. Well, in other words, we evolved, we became more civilized, we understand more about the surroundings. Our sin was ignorance because we were unaware of how everything works, and we were taught this technology and we depicted it everywhere in geoglyphs, petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, scriptures, sacred geometry, you name it, it's just popping up everywhere. The same information, the same story. So it's really hard. You can't ignore it when it just keeps popping up like that. It's, you know, it tells you there, right there, everyone knew how it worked at some point in time. Nazca lines being a very good example. You know, you look at them, that's a very large blueprint put there for all to see. Once man evolves enough to take to the sky and see them and actually decode what it all means. So we were given the blueprints of how it worked just by the Nazca lines alone. And then you can look at what One Conscience is doing. She's doing world-sized Nazca lines on the sea, on the ocean floors. So yeah, you know, they exist everywhere on scales. You know, it's impossible for humans to be doing anyway. It's been done on a very grand scale. It's so grand and large, it's impossible for them to hide it all. Giants, titans, all these depictions, they're just gonna. It's too much to hide. They can't hide it all. It's too vast.
Yeah, the life-size ones. You know, there's structures. There's antennas. You can see the clear outline of antennas or some kind of coils that are obviously projecting up a great amount of energy that's causing the formation to occur. You guys can see it yourself even. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always learning, always new information coming in. You know, we do that much research. We spend I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I spend all my free time doing research. It's all I do. I look at this and decode things and work things out, and like everyone else is doing the free time that they get to do it. And we are progressing all the time. You know, we've got some amazing things that we're going to be showing you in upcoming presentations. It's just that much information. We're prioritizing it. What we need to be putting out first, for people to understand what we're telling them. Get feedback on that to see if we're putting it across right as the questions about it. Do people understand what it is we're telling them? Because we really don't know. We're putting out our content. Due to everyone being worried about jumping on models, you'll find we don't advertise it as much because of that very problem. We all had it ourselves. We all jumped onto the AE map when we came into Flat Earth. Oh, that must be the map. But then, it starts getting debunked. You debunk it yourself. You think, well, that doesn't work. So it's trial and error. That's progression. You've got to rule them out. What you're left with obviously works, and so far it's working. And I kind of sidetracked then, forgot where I was going. As happens in research, yeah.
Yeah, Warren, give us a little bit of your insight a little update, what you've been doing with FPV and James. Just a little bit, so those that haven't been here for a while or haven't been here, just explain a little bit.
Well, what do we do? Well, let's see. We've looked at everything, like you said. We've looked at everything from earth energy into reading different ancient scriptures, including the Bible, and relating it to what we're doing because they're all telling the same kind of story. We've been doing a lot of scripture decoding because we're trying to show that these scriptures are telling us how our world is built and ran by angels, cherubims. And that's kind of a hard thing to swallow for some people, that these angels are not all of them are creatures that we like to think of. A lot of them are robots. And there's a video that FPV showed that there's I believe he was a preacher or a Catholic priest that was talking about it. So that's what we've been looking into, and we've been trying to go back as far as we possibly can. We've been trying to relate it to different, temples, because each religion talks about it. I don't really want to go too much into it because we're actually going to be doing stuff on this coming up.
Right.
But I mean, we have videos out of us talking about the scriptures, and we do different books and the Bible, and we're going to take Enoch, and we'll be going into some other stuff that's different beliefs, but they're all the
Which I
same
can't wait.
story.
Which I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I'm understanding a lot more than I used to, but it's nice. And you guys give a lot of time and many days into this, hours. And I know I appreciate it because you guys are taking your time. I mean, it's a lot of info to intake.
Well, you have to look at a lot of different things to be able to compare them and come to the conclusion that these are the same story. We can't just say that. We have to actually read the stuff and research into it to realize that it is talking about the same thing. They all knew how our world was built. They all appreciated it, and they are, it's hidden from us now. We don't know how our world works. We don't even understand, some of us, that we live on a stationary plane, with four corners, as stated in these scriptures.
Sun and moon.
Yeah, that we have a local sun and moon. Yeah, I mean, some of us don't even realize that. So that's what we're doing, what I've been doing. And looking at these life-size Nazca lines, because these are our energy lines. I'm seeing all these different lines and structures, and it's there. So it's under our known realm. It's under our topography, and it's projecting the energy upwards, which is making the energy rise and show signs of that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you're putting a model out, you have to explain how every part of that model is working. You can't just put a map out for the sun and moon, rotating around it and say, ta-da, there it is, because now you're going to have to explain what the sun is, how it got there, what's holding it there, what's moving it, why is it moving, where's it going, where's it coming from and going to. You've got a hell of a lot to answer. And our research can give those answers quite easily. Because, like one said, all leads to one thing, a technological construct, basically, run by technologies, angels that being robotic or possibly even AI. We don't know if they're AI or not, but it's definitely robotic in nature, and they do carry around projectors with them and move around in the underworld.
And it's
these are the emotions that are being seen with the halos in the heavens. You can see them rotating around. Now, these can go back to Ptolemy's work. He factored in epicycles. If you're not sure what them are, definitely look them up, because it relates to the halos we're seeing in the heavens moving around. And for him to know about those alone and factor them in makes you wonder, did this guy in those times was he already aware what they were, and he was just just doing a bit of homework from school, because it does seem that everyone knew how it worked back then. But it's the Copernican system what destroyed Ptolemy's work. Ptolemy's got to be a flat earther with the epicycles and technology controlling what's going on. That's what his model suggests to me, and the man's 100% correct. So you can look back now at a guy known in history, a flat earther, a researcher scientist that plotted his own model of the heavens and how they work, and that's coming to life in our research. These epicycles, they've perfectly explained these halos motions that we're seeing in the skies. What they're desperately trying to call sundogs and failing badly, which is a good thing. Don't you reckon, guys?
I figure myself, it's all a construction. This place was built. It's a mechanical operation on a huge scale. There's no getting away from that. What we see is not the result of a big bang. It's construction, it's design, it's electromagnetics, it's metals, it's iron, it's everything. It's an amazing, amazing construction. The fact that the stars, constellations, never change place, that we can pinpoint them for thousands of years, that a little device made of a few gears, the Antikythera device, that's not even a calculator, it's not even a computer. At best, it's an egg beater. It's a few gears, no more complicated than that. Can predict the past positions of the moon, sun, and 8 of the planets, and the phases of the moon, from the past to the present to any day in the future at the turn of a knob. There's no way something as simple as what could be considered a toy could be made that could calculate all these things if it wasn't emulating something that was cyclical, very repeatable, not something born out of chaos. So we're in a construction. It's simplified with the Antikythera machine in the sense that 100 gears can predict the major heavenly bodies, the 8 of the planets, and the sun and moon on a few gears. No more complicated than the gears on the back of a 10-speed bike. No more complicated than a gear on a egg beater. There's no real difference. So people want to complicate the simple. I'm done with it. I know we're on a creation. We're on something that was constructed. We're not in no big bang. So any type of science that relates or equates to monkeys on a ball and big bangs and, you know, an explosion, creating instead of destroying, sorry, I'm not on that boat and I won't argue with you. So
it's beautiful, isn't it, Jim? I would love one of them mechanisms. I would love one. I really would.
It's in a sense, it has to be a reasonably simple design. The simpler something mechanical is, the longer it'll last and it'll work. The more complicated it is, the more breakdown, the more repair. And that's just the way physical science and engineering goes. It's just one of those rules. Everything mechanical wears down and breaks, period.
That's some things people can bear in mind now, Jim. You know, you can put mechanics and cogs, gears, chains, mechanisms into... Listen to the Book of Enoch, guys, and now factor in cogs, gears, mechanisms, technologies, angels being technologies, projector type.
You take out this convoluted science.
The realm is called Israel. The realm is called Israel, not a country. It's the name of the realm. And
here we'll do
a completely different story.
Yeah, a split photon electron test there. Well, here we're ignoring the very science of how light is generated and created. Again, I say this whole thing is about looking at the dog's tail and ignoring the rest of the body, including the butthole and the head and mouth and nose. And we're only looking at the tail. Look, how did they invent gravity? They ignore scissor lifts and people on them that lift and hook bowling balls to rafters 40 feet above the ground. Let's ignore the fact that someone was assisted with a scissor lift to get up there and attach these things, a bowling ball and feathers. Let's move them out of the way and pretend that they had nothing to do with, wow, what's that force I feel pulling on that bowling ball? Grow up, people. It's a magician's trick. Then they talk all of vacuums and falling at same speeds. Red herrings. Okay? It's bullshit. If a microphone is sitting on a table, it's a body at rest. It's going to stay that way. If I pick it up in my hand and hold it over mid-space, it's no longer a body at rest. That rule doesn't apply. It's a body with some potential energy, and my fingers are holding it back. But no, we pretend my fingers have nothing to do with it, that it's gravity, a magical force that's pulling down. I'm fighting this gravity because I've got the mic in my hand. And this damn gravity is pulling down on it. Whoops, oh, there goes gravity 1 again. Well, if you fall for sucker magicians and Harry Potters, eat it. You want to say gravity and keep with gravity? Keep with it. I'm done with it. I'm done with the bullshit.
Hey, speaking of bullshit, guys, check this out. I've got something to screen share here. We can talk through it if you want while I play it. Hold on a sec. I'll just go to it and there we go. I was looking at the ISS path because we're going to do a piece on this certain path here sometime in a future presentation. But while I was looking at it, I thought I'll have a look at the ISS as well, so we can maybe have a bit of laugh at what they present as the ISS.
Yeah, it'll be in a file called Path of ISS, or PIS for short.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Right, what we've got here, guys, is someone's video recording off the internet. According to them, this is a real video capture of the ISS flying over, and they captured it in their telescope. So what you're looking at here is me tracking it because I want to see the movement from the lens of the telescope. The blue line represents the person's movement that's recording. Because what I'm going to do, this is part of what I do to stabilize them. I can check the movement in blue to see if there's fake movements, you could call it. You know, if there's fake movements going on there, you would see it there, or unusual movements that suggest other than what they're telling you. The big screen one here coming up, this is the final image stabilized, so you can get a better look at it. I've slowed it down to about 50% there, so we can study it in better detail.
Yeah,
it's stabilized now.
Ignore the crop and copy paste marks that you see around it. They're just part of your imagination. Okay.
Yeah, and it looks, if you look at the movements now, you look at the movements as it's turning, it kind of reminds me of stop motion animation. To me now, I think it's a model presented behind the shimmering screen to probably watery, so, you know, water movement or something kind of movement. But it's like a model to me being presented in front of a camera with lights here and there. And it's just being rotated round now and then slowly. You know, on the stop-start motion camera. So
it'd get an Emmy for special effects if Star Trek was still around.
Yeah, and the problem, you know, the shadows. This is, look at this. This is rotating now. There's no change in shadows going on. That's another thing that caught my eye. You know, you would expect to see, that's rotating as it's going over. You would expect to see some shadows and light changes going on, but it's pretty much a static image, really, that's being rotated round. Or yeah, it's kind of, you know, it suggests fakery to me. That's, you know, we know it's fake, but you know, when I put it on the screen.
That's why I asked if it was Red's rhetoric there.
See from the top left. In the top left, all these blue lines represent the person's movements of the telescope, tracking the target. You can see there, it's tracking it, following it round. If it jumps too much, it loses track, and then you just put the box back on where it was and keep tracking it. And you can see all the, you know, all these movements there represent the movement of his telescope, basically, as he's tracking it. So you can see, I would expect to see, you know, like a straight line or a curved line, and then it goes overhead and then it curves away again into the distance, that kind of movement. But looking at this, it's all over the place. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of path it's flying, but you know, all that movement going on there, a bit strange. There's something that's just flying overhead and going into the distance. Now, I'm not sure how long you see it in the sky, but this guy's recording went on for a good 4 minutes plus. So, and over that 4 minutes, you notice the scale of this is not changing. It should be smaller, getting bigger, and then smaller again as it's going away in the distance.
And light reflection should be, you know, varying somewhere along the line.
Well, you know, shadows should be moving around on it, especially as it's rotating here. I mean, there's a point where it rotates. Anyone on board would have been flattened against the walls of it because
it's got more mirrors than a disco ball.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? That's why I thought I'd you know, check it out. While I was looking at the ISS path, I thought I'll have a quick look at this and see, because I've never sat and gone through this footage properly before. But yeah, it's.
But you created a blue nebula. You should send that off to NASA and say, "Look, my telescope got a blue nebula."
Yeah, that's his movement following this in the sky. Now that does, you know, what the hell kind of movement's that? It's everywhere.
Carl Sagan, an amateur capture.
Is it going behind him, in front of him, to his left, to his right? What's going on? That's a hell of a lot of movement.
Look at that. You look how easily you can see the crop marks, the copy paste where he pasted in shit to make or compose his toy. And the upper blue, I can see crop marks. Oh, maybe that's the dish. No, they're I don't know.
That's
just
a small window there.
It's garbage.
But yeah, look at its size. I mean, how long was it overhead? Because he's getting some very good footage. Don't forget, this was all over the place. I'll stabilize it so we can get a better look at it. If this was me recording this and it was real, I'd be going out of my way to try and stabilize it myself before I presented it, because that would mean something special to you. But no, it's it's just junk.
I think the ISS was on crack, whoever was at the controls tonight.
Well, that's what you're looking at. Look at it. To me, it's a model behind a window.
Who's turning up the sun? Someone's turning the sun up and down. Brighter and lower.
Panels just don't make sense.
Ooh, here comes a nice polarized effect there. Prism.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of I don't know what kind of effect they were going for here, but
Pink Floydy ISS. Please.
It's very poor, isn't it? To me, it looks like they've recorded it with a camera in front of the screen and just let the camera go out of focus a bit here and there. But the same again, look, it's not changing in size.
Well, they just shoved all the fish.
It's supposed to be doing 17,500 miles per hour. How quick does it go across your part of the sky? This guy's had a full 4.5 minutes to record all this.
What they did is they shoved all the fish to one side of the tank, and then they used the other half for filming.
It's comical, isn't it?
But it is, yeah. It almost looks like they're looking at it through the edge of a glass. The prism like that, from the corner of a cut glass. Anyway.
You can see here what the tracking's doing, Zoom in on what's left of the tracking. And see what he can do with the tracking, just lock onto it and try and move it or follow it around. But yeah, the blue lines represent the movement of his telescope, following the object. He must have been drunk. I don't know. All that movement, and he still managed to capture a lot of footage. Amazing.
They must have learned to fly at a Florida, pilot school, aviation school. Abdullah, what's this button for?
There's something flying overhead and going into the distance. Do them blue lines tell you that's what he was recording? Don't forget that's the blue lines.
Recording data traffic worldwide and undersea cables is what it looks like.
Yeah, again, look in slow motion, so you can have another laugh at it.
No one can move something that much in 4 minutes.
Look at the movements now. Look at the movements. They're not even natural. And you'll see where it jumps. Say again, Katz?
You have a question in chat.
Can you read it out? Because I'm still looking at the screen.
Could you tell me who's responsible for this ISS capture piece of garbage? Really? That's one thing to show it, but someone's got to be embarrassed for this.
Yeah. It's like a polystyrene.
Put it out there. Be a man, let us say your name.
What was the question, Katz?
Okay, the question is...
You're faded in and out.
Theories on the underworld entrance locations.
Hold on a second. I'll just stop
again.
Absolutely.
There was a bit of humor.
Many theories on the underworld entrance locations. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. There could be, on each continent, there's access down below. Everywhere from Egypt to Mali to Australia to Canada.
The underworld access entrance locations is in the north, south, east, west. It's the gates. The ones where Enoch described when he was giving his tour.
I'm pretty sure there are other ways down.
There may well be, but you've got a big steel grid and things to get past, whereas on the outskirts it might be a bit easier.
Hard to say. But yeah, that was pretty terrible ISS footage there. I'm going to do a little thing on perspective from the cupola. and you know, just show that it's really out of this world. The views they show are truly from 3,000 miles plus up, and they claim to be at 300 miles up. Just there's no comparison, you know. So I'm going to do a little video on just that and post.
Have you guys got anything you want to present?
No, just recommendations from me is that, you know, anyone who's really interested in just how mechanical this world really is, one simple way is start researching a bit of the Antikythera machine, Antikythera. There's a emulator, one that you can run on the computer and kind of set dates for it and check things out, figure out some stuff. It's, you know, it's not so bad. There are others that have taken Lego and used Lego with some of their mechanical, you know, gears and stuff, and recreated this machine in Lego, and they work. It's so simple. You know, don't be afraid of gears or think they're all complicated. They really are very easy. You know, once you start to get a little grasp of them, it comes together pretty quick. But, you know, on that front, just look into it for yourself, you know. I could tell you a million things, but, I mean, there's nothing like, you know,
finding it yourself.
Finding it yourself.
What about you, Juan? Do you want to present anything? If you know, if everyone's finished, I'll drop the link in the back chat for the guys in the chat if they want to jump in with us and come and have a chat. Have you got anything you want to show, Juan?
Nope, I'm pretty good. I mean,
Hold on, then I'll drop this link in our back chat so then the guys there can jump in if they want.
And I think, you know, it's a fair shout out. We're in a world of, you know, basically petrified titans and giants. Shout out to Roger at Mud Fossil University for, you know, his ganglia and his bloody tissues and his ferritites and rocks and, you know, his DNA samples that he sent off. You know, look, you know, get down to the nitty gritty. There's only a few real things to look at in this world. A lot of them are pretty simple, and they're right there under your nose, you know. But, you know, if you don't even recognize that, well, maybe giants at least were real, you know, I don't know where you are. You know, certainly don't know where I was.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I've no way got everything figured out, and I probably never will. But, you know, I made it far enough to know, you know, A, we're in a creation. We have a creator. And B, you know, the ground we walk on ain't exactly what we think it is. And really, it's fair time now to look at the so-called sciences, like what they call geology, and say, no, it's not geology. It's biology. It's anatomy. It's anything but what they're saying. Probably the only instant it might partly apply is volcanoes. The rest of it, we're talking, the hills were alive. You know, so, you know, let's figure out, you know, how these so-called sedimentations or stratifications in colored bands work, because it wasn't through sand deposits over a millennium or nothing like this. You know, sure there were mud flows, sure there were other stuff, but many of these things are, you know, mudded over titans and giants. So let's figure out what's under our feet, and let's stop calling it, you know, what it isn't, which is geology. And look at it like what it is, part of biology, anatomy.
If any of you guys in the chat there want to jump in on the panel with us, I've dropped the link in our back chat. Just jump in. Research related, remember. So if you got any queries or just want to sit in and listen, by all means, jump in. I'll chat the links there for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to speak. It's up to you guys. You know, come in, ask questions. Feel free to join in, elaborate more on things, or ask us to elaborate more on things you might not be certain about, or give us your own ideas of what's going on.
Hmm. Explain a little bit about the pillars. I know Bro Sanchez yesterday he talked about it. He showed a picture like there was pillars under. There's 4.
Well, we can't
I
see
know
them
we
in our
talked about.
research as yet, apart from what CB showed us the 4 pillars in the magnetic data he was showing a while back. I don't know if it's the same pillars he was showing, but you know, other than that, we haven't got anything to reference 4 pillars to us yet. But, you know, I'm not saying that they don't exist or we're not going to find them. They're just not jumping out at us yet,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
other things are.
Just thinking about that.
Wild bear on the loose. Dragging a guy down the road.
Yeah. Let's see what else I was gonna ask. Tell us a little bit more about the 12. Well, each corner you have 3, right? Squares.
Yeah, 3 in each
That's
corner.
called what?
3 gates in each corner.
And they're described really well by Enoch. We put out that video.
Enoch gives them an amazing description. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I was mentioning earlier. When how can Enoch be referenced something we're using from the Nazca lines? It's uncanny. But there it is. You know, what's the chances of that? Part of our grid being described by, and we can go further into that, but that's for another presentation. Hello, Lev. How are you doing, mate? Lev's joined us on the panel.
Hey, Lev.
Okay, now do you think the Incas, the Mayans, and I'm gonna say the Hopis, do you think that their ancestors, okay, knew about all this under the underworld? I think they did. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I agree. They left us all of these stories to tell us how it worked. They had it all recorded. They had planets recorded for years and years and years and years. They knew eclipses. They knew how the planets worked. They knew the Earth energy. They had maps of all this, and the Nazca lines are proof. You know, those.
None of it was meant to be hid.
Yeah, it's too big to hide. Well, your thoughts on it anyway, Lev? It's nice for us to get feedback off people. You know, you've been in the back chat a while with us now. What's your take on the research and
stuff to like explore and stuff like for all viewers as well, like because like when I first came across like Flat Earth, there were a lot of questions of like, you know, do you read the Bible and then in which context and stuff like. So then you've brought a lot of scriptures forward and stuff like. But what do you feel like about other religions? I mean, Cat's just mentioned it actually, like with Incas and stuff like that. So is it like in all scriptures then? So
yeah, any we can get our hands on, mate, we try and look at, because we have to, you know, what's everyone believing in? What story are they telling? The ones we looked at, you know, we looked at Christianity, we looked at the Book of Enoch. I'm not sure what religion that even is, or, you know, if it is never religion. It seems to me religion's hijacked science and knowledge, and it's now called religion, but originally it looks to me like it was all science and knowledge. So what have we looked at? Mayan, Hindu, Christian, Enoch, whatever that comes under. I don't know, is there others?
Egyptian.
Egyptian.
Not sure what.
You know, then you go into sacred geometry and Nazca lines and geoglyphs, petroglyphs, and hieroglyphs. Whichever cultures they're all coming under, they're all telling us the exact same story and the same kind of depictions of things going on in the underworld.
And
Yeah,
don't forget the wonderful Scientology stuff, because we use their data and prove our work. So we're using science as well, since it's pretty much a religion now.
yeah. Yeah, we can see
Hi, love.
particle accelerators in the Nazca lines and other geoglyphs and petroglyphs and hieroglyphs now. You know, they're popping up everywhere.
What about like Rahu and Ketu? Are they part of the underworld and stuff?
I'll let one answer that one. She done a nice video on them.
Yeah, they are. Well, I mapped them. I have 2 videos showing it, plus we did one about the moon. But so they're on opposite sides of the plane, and they're actually moving exactly the same but mirrored. So it's pretty interesting. I haven't, I don't know a lot about them. There's a story, I forget where it originated, but where 2 brothers rolled in the moon. So I wonder if they're not somehow causing the phases. Now, I don't know if that's totally true, but it's just something that I've been kind of playing with and looking at.
It would
If it was
suggest
to line up right, yeah.
It would suggest they're like seraphim, wouldn't it? Because they're not venturing far, and they seem to be shepherding in the moon.
Yeah.
So they're like guide. It tells you there it's guidance. And on my first video, I done a similar video where I put a halo in the sky, and had the sun going around one side and the moon going around the other, which kind of that was the solar eclipse. And when we checked the data, one checked the data, and she put it on across Google Earth, it matched. The hidden path was revealed, and there was the moon, even though you couldn't see it. It was in that vicinity, and the eclipse was very near that location. Yeah, it's kind of confirming how how it works, and it's being used to guide and steer things.
And same with Nibiru. Everybody they have all the stories that it's going to cause a pole shift and blah blah blah, but it's actually an ancient cosmetology that it's probably a seraphim as well. It's a post. It's a stationary. It's stationary, and it's guiding. They call it a post, so it's a turning point.
Yeah, or a direction change. Changing direction for various luminaries as they get there.
I think one of the big questions about your model and stuff is like at the beginning of the flat Earth movement, it were all the circular map and stuff like. So you said you kind of reset your perspective, and you've kind of you had a fresh look at flat Earth, and you looked into scriptures and stuff. What were it that made you see it as like the square map, and with the equator going in a line and all of them kind of senses? Because it kind of like my first couple of years researching and stuff, it that seemed to fit, what I mean, with the circle and stuff like. My big thing was that you can tell it's flat and you can tell the sun's local. It's like the biggest thing that kind of woke me up and stuff like. So that's that, but it doesn't really define the map. I don't know how much of your model is like still up for speculation, or which is is there any parts of it which is still an assumption, but you've put it on or not, or is it all confirmed what you've got?
It's been a very long process of elimination, really. At first, we had to eliminate the maps to see which map this grid actually made any sense on, overlaying it with AE maps, and any map that was popping up really was trying it on. I did try it on the Mercator, and it didn't make a lot of sense, but only because the Mercator's not showing you the full image. And when I come across this one that series produced, but wow, look at the size of that map, get the grid on it, and then started lining up. So yeah, it was basically eliminating the others, because it has to match what events in real world data. And the work and effort series is already put into this map and model. It's virtually unheard of at the moment, but the guy's made a 3D model of this as well. He's got the 3D data for this actual model, and it shows you in Antarctica, the elevation of Antarctica, and the highest mountain in the world appears to be a mountain down in Antarctica. It's not Everest. There's a bigger one in Antarctica looking at his data. Because he's caught up in what do you call them, those Bitcoin things. He's been involved in a Bitcoin project doing code for it. He hasn't been as busy in Flat Earth as much as he should be. But he was following the 4D thinking. I don't know if he's changed his mind or how much of this data we've put out that he's actually absorbed or looked into himself. Because, like I said, he's kind of vanished into the background a bit, but he's still around. He still pops up. But I think the coding work he's doing on that project's keeping him too busy at the moment to come and absorb more and start overlaying it, because he's still got information that other people haven't seen yet. He's got new magnetic data and information to go with this model. So we're going to be interested in seeing what he pulls out as well and compare it to what's going on here. So assumptions, no, I wouldn't say there's any assumptions, because we noticed everyone's using the Mercator map to record everything, basically. You got to look at what maps everyone's using. So if they're all using the Mercator, that tells you there the data's pretty close to being accurate on, like the GPS, shipping, aircraft, them kind of movements, apart from them flipping the data in the north to hide the northern flight routes. But other than that, it's the same process of elimination. What map are they all using and why do they use it? Well, lo and behold, they're all using the Mercator. And you can see clearly the Mercator's been derived from this model and compressed a lot to hide and modified to hide the north and south more. They're trying to make it into a small globe kind of perspective, but flattened out a bit. And when you flatten the globe out, it does give you this map, basically. That's all Siri's done. He took the images of the globe from Google Maps and squared them back off, and this is what's been generated. He's put it back to its proper image by the look of it. So, yeah, I would say the Mercator's definitely derived from this, and I don't know why they skew it in places, but I would say it's to pretend it's a globe and compress land in the north and south a bit more, so you can't really tell how big it really is.
Like in Centauri map, is that like, is there something there, or is it just ocean?
Right in the center, where Santos referenced the machine there, what we would call the, you could call that the Genesis machine. It's like the heart of the machine. Nothing visible on the surface. Well, you're actually over the ocean there, so there's nothing visible on the ocean floor. But I would expect that to be very deep. One conscience might be able to give you a figure if she's got earthquake data for the area, because all this earthquake data, the depth for them does, it's directly linked to the location and depth of all these points on our grid. So we do have depths for, for various ones that's on the grid. So if you know off the top of your head one, the earthquake data depth for 0.0. I don't know if you do or not, but
I'm almost sure it's 10 kilometers.
10 kilometers.
And it's all the way up the ridge there. It's 10.
It's shallower than I thought then. The deep ones might be the. Hold on.
Well, the deep ones.
Yeah, go on. I'll look for the map while you talk.
The deep ones are actually in specific areas, though. I mean, the deep ones will always hit in the same areas. The deepest spot is actually at Fiji. It runs around the 700 kilometers down. Then, we have other spots that still run over 200 kilometers. Indonesia, those islands right there south of Indonesia, they have very deep quakes right there. We also have a deep spot that's north of Japan, and we have the spot that is east of northeast Russia, the little peninsula that we just spoke of. Any other earthquake around that area, they kind of vary along that ridge around the eastern side. So we do have a lot of deep quake areas over there. Then we run into a lot of 10 kilometers, which is where most of the plates and technologies perhaps are running. I mean, that'd be around, 8 miles or so, 8-9 miles, which is about as far as they've been able to drill. But right there on the Angel that's over India, that's another deep quake spot. So we can kind of see why there's an angel sitting right there on the spot that always gets deep quakes. I think that one runs around the 200 to 300 kilometers down. And but yeah, everything up the center ridge, which if you look at the way the grid runs straight up and down the center, that is the spots where the quakes hit. It comes off heading from the east, and then as it rolls up South America and into that area, it kind of follows the grid and it just spreads out and hits that whole plate.
I was going to say about you know, like the halos. Is there a set amount of halos? Have you found them all, or are they in certain locations? Never move, all that kind of thing.
They'd have to be everywhere.
Well, scripturally speaking, there's up to 144,000 of them. I think that's where that number's coming from. It would make sense that the grid divided into 12 sectors and 12,000 in each sector helped guide and maneuver these luminaries around this realm.
The way I was, sorry, the way I was kind of tracking them on our Earth is I noticed a trend with the earthquakes. When you're on Google Earth and you turn on the earthquake feature it has, you can see where all the earthquakes hit. So if you go look at that with that feature on, you'll notice that the earthquakes hit in circular patterns. And then if you start to put circles on them and put marks, you'll notice that the two circles touch perfectly at the edges. And mind you, you're only going by the edge of these circular earthquake patterns. Same for these volcanoes. You can look and find these circular patterns where there's several volcanoes around the edge, and it will match up nicely with maybe an earthquake circular area next to it. So it's kind of showing me that as these cogs turn to run things, as these mechanisms work, they're causing the shaking as they kind of, turn, right? It would cause a vibration, which we have to remember this stuff is very big. It's much bigger than we can imagine, I'm sure. And those are
talking about the sounds of a trumpet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, FPV brought that up. You could probably go into that about the cogs, trumpets.
What was that? Sorry, I missed that. What was that
about the cogs and the sounds of the trumpets?
Yeah, I was thinking about that myself for a few days. Why would there be a sound of trumpets? It makes me think when, like, if you work in a factory or near any automated machinery, normally an alarm sounds when it's going to start up to warn you. Be careful. There's something starting here. It makes me think of something like that now, like a early warning. I could be wrong, but that's what went through my mind. If we're looking at a process here, perhaps it sounds a horn now and then, just as a warning to any bystanders or anyone getting the tour, or like a warning. This is going to start up. Be careful. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. But it might not be anything to do with that. I've got to consider the technology and what's going on, and yeah, it might even mean something really regal and special, and a big announcement. The sun's going to start rising soon, so there's going to be a sun launch, and maybe it was made like that because it does look spectacular and built in with awe. You would stand in awe like Enoch and them all did, and drop to your knees in awe. Basically, you think, what the hell am I looking at? Drop people to their knees when they see, as Buzz found out.
That's another idea with that is maybe perhaps going on the older cogs starting up. What if it's simply the older cogs that haven't ran for a while starting up, and it makes a reverberating kind of sound, that when it comes from below, it sounds, loud, and it kind of projects upwards. So it sounds like it's coming from sky.
Makes sense to me, one, if you're talking very big mechanisms and if they've not turned for a while and all of a sudden they're starting up again, yeah, you're going to be heard. Yeah.
Love that.
So you look at the video that's on screen now, guys, this was one conscience there talking through Enoch, describing his tour being shown around, and the angels
Have
in
a
the north,
lot
south,
of
east, west,
info to come back
reference to you. What, Kat?
with.
You're breaking up again. Try again, Kat.
I'm sorry. Oh, the next live hangout, you guys can have so much info, right? You guys been
Yeah, I think it's
doing
always going to
hours
be more
and
and more info.
days.
It never ends, does it? It's just, like I said, we're prioritizing things, and it takes time to put it into something presentable. And describe, you've got to
It does
describe
take
what's
time,
going
but
on.
well, it takes time, but you guys are getting there, and even though no one pays for your time, but one works and she comes and keeps going. Yeah, you did put a lot of hours into this research. I'm thankful. So, but yeah, it will take
It's a
time.
mission. It's a mission. It really is.
So,
We're handed a mission, and we're doing our best to see it through.
you guys have to have patience to see where this is going. It takes time. But it makes sense now for me more and more. I'm involved a little, but I still, and it's awesome. Changed a lot of my mind for sure, a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a very big shift in
But it does
perspective, isn't it?
take time. It's cool. Everything come out to the light.
I can see people's
About the
apprehension, but
open.
if you can reference all the things we are, I think you're doing a very good job of figuring it all out. By process of elimination, this is what we're being shown.
Yeah. Just to give heads up, if anybody's hearing, or even though they're not tapping, next Friday, I'm crossing my finger, but we're gonna have another, almost like a ladies hangout, but it's all gonna be about Native American type talk. I'm gonna switch it a different way this Friday, so I hope you guys join us. It's gonna be awesome. I and one will be on for sure, and I'm gonna see if I can get 2 more people next Friday. It'll probably be about 3 o'clock. We'll see how everybody is, but I hope you join us.
Of course they will.
It's gonna be awesome. I think so, and it's been in my heart, so I'm gonna do what's in my heart about Native Americans, because we all have some kind of ancestors in us. So
Yeah, I would expect people from any to be able to look at a part of this and recognize something. We're seeing it in all cultures, and there's going to be a piece of this. There's going to be something jumping out at them. They're going to say, "Hey, we know what that is." You can see it in people's faces, when we've gone talking with people, and then they start realizing what it is you're talking about. Especially if you've got something visually to show them. If you can't see visually what scripture, sacred geometry, and everything else is telling you, then it becomes meaningless. You really need something to relate it all to, and you're looking right at it. You know, this is our conclusion. This is where it's heading.
Right.
Yeah, it makes,
I was thinking.
you know, this
was
is not
thinking-
what we expected to be presenting to the world, but this is where we're at. We came for the truth, and this is what it's turned out to be. Technological
Yeah.
construct, masterpiece.
Yeah, so I'm actually, it's just a joy talking about Native American. Of course, you know, I'm Native American, so my roots are deep. But, I'm proud. It's something we need to talk about too, because our ancestors has a lot to talk about our earth, you know. So we have a lot, hopefully, a lot of info on it. But it's gonna be good.
Yeah, always good, always interesting, always new things to show and learn. Yeah, it's a learning curve because you have to learn how it all works. It's a hell of a big picture to look at, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
I don't think people realise the amount of like you said, the amount of research we do, the hours we put in, and the topics we touch upon and look into. I couldn't list them all. There'd be that many now. So it's what you have to call very well researched. And like Jason. Jason said, he tried to debunk it himself and he couldn't. It started making sense to him. That kind of that's nice to hear because it shows, I've said to people, debunk it. People out there should be saying, how come the trolls aren't attacking it? Why aren't they debunking it? You'll find not one of them's coming near it. They won't touch it. Unusual. Yeah. They might say a few sarcastic comments, but there's no debunking of it going on. How can you debunk it when it's scripturally and sacred geometry and all the rest of it referenced? You can't debunk it. I encourage people to try, because if we've made an error, we want to correct it. We want it to be as correct and a real representation of what this world works like and looks like. And so far, it's been, it's always giving, it's always making sense. More and more every day, it makes more and more sense. But like, as with everyone, be cautious, question everything, poke the bottle, try and rip it apart, see faults of it. If you can point them out, we'll have a look at it. If it doesn't make sense, then we have to revise the research. As with all research, things can change. But so far, so good. It's progressing nicely.
It is. Like I said, it takes time. I don't know how you guys do it, but I applaud you guys for spending a lot of time.
Applause
Especially
accepted.
especially one poor girl. She has to work and then come into this. But
these people have been dragged to hell and
you're
back.
doing
Heaven and hell and back. Haven't you one? Haven't you, June?
Yeah.
Haven't you all? We've been dragged to heaven and hell and back and having a good look at it now. It's not as scary as you first thought.
Yeah, but it's amazing and I wouldn't change it.
It's amazing when we sit going through, these are the special moments. We're having private chats quite a lot, and we'll go through information and research, and you just get revelation after revelation, don't you? And just, wow, look at this, look at that, look how this works.
Yeah, if it gets too much, all you have to do is stick your two front teeth in ice cream for about 5 seconds, and then, you'll be okay after.
And we can't forget Sandra, because she's been helping a lot too.
Yeah, thanks, people. We have got a back chat, and all the people in there, whether they're following that's irrelevant. We regard these people as nice people in the community we can get along with, they can come and grill us and have a laugh with us, and they can join in with the research if they want. And
Even though
ideas
somehow she's always busy when we go live. I just don't get it.
Yeah, there's that Sandra.
What is up with that? But she's in the chat, dang
it. Sandra. There's that trout.
Well, another thing too is that with you, there's more people involved, but we just, you don't mention that there are people more involved than what you guys do. So there's more, together. Sandra says she's busy.
Trout Sandra.
Yeah. Anyways, do you guys have anything else to say?
Well,
No,
keep your eyes on the prize, and
yeah, keep those Halo videos coming in. Any Halo videos, we do like watching them. Very special. Keep your eye out for lunar or other planetary waves. Crow 777 calls lunar waves. Capture them if you can. Inspect your moon footage very carefully for them because it can be easy missed.
And sometimes it seems like, you do work and other stuff, and then other people sort of copy you, and you don't really get any credit for it and stuff. And that seems to be happening a lot within the FE. Fear not. In the end, sadly, if it all goes towards a generally beneficial purpose, then this leeching and copying and no credit to where credit's due is, I guess, just something we have to live with for a while, But don't let it get you down, and just move on past it, and freak these leeches, plagiarizers, and just don't worry about them. Let them leech. They can only put bits and pieces together of a bigger picture. In any case, these are people too who don't want to get to the end of a problem, and solve it. It would mean shutting down the cash cow. So you got to keep going round and around like the hamster in a cage. We're not hamsters in no damn cage. I'd like to see an end to this. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Juan, do you have anything to say?
No, I think I've done all my questions and stuff like. Thanks for letting me in your chat group and being involved as well. I think quite cool. It's nice to meet everybody as well.
Hey. Yeah, same here. You're welcome anytime. No problem.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome. Juan, if you're here, do you have anything else to say?
Not so much. Just, anybody wants to do some luminary tracking and this and that. There's just not enough time in my day to continue to add more things to look into,
Yeah, there's going to be a few things pop up we do need help with, because it's, like I said, it's a case of prioritizing the output. There's a lot of things we do look at, but they never get put out. They get talked about and considered, and we don't go any further on them because we're too busy with more important matters. But yeah, if we can, if anyone can help one there with the moon tracking, she'll show you how it works, how to do it, and you get a bit of guidance. So if you want to reveal the hidden moons paths or any other paths for that matter, ask one. Just send her a message. I noticed you were doing some images, Lev. If you're interested in doing images that we could use in this research, we would use them. We'd have to look into what kind of images. We do want the presentations to go out in the best quality and format possible. We want to reach the bigger audience and make it very presentable and nice any way we can. We don't have the skills to do it all. We're doing the best we can with the skill sets we've got. Like in, if someone's very proficient in Blender, that could be a bonus if they want to do some work in Blender, things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of things people can help with. It's just finding the people and the skill sets that can do it. That's where we're at, a lot that we can do ourselves, but it is time consuming. And we're finding that many things out. It's going to start bogging us down. So we have to, output bits and pieces like we did tonight. The things we put out tonight, we've already shown a few people in private before, so they'll recognise some of it. But as that's going on, there's still new videos being made and things like that going on in the background, and we've got recordings to do. We do prefer doing it pre-recorded and then showing the final piece, because then we get a nice, professional edit. Because we do want professional people looking at this. This is for everyone. This is not about us. This is finding the truth through research and putting it out there and hoping professionals or anyone with an interest whatsoever or can recognize part of this and relate to it, and start looking at it and saying, yeah, this is making sense. This is the model. This is what's really going on. But yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Well, I know hours, and I know that it's late for some of us, but I appreciate everybody coming in, supporting this channel. Fully next Friday I'm on 99.9%. We're gonna have one. You're gonna be there. I know that. Come and join us, you guys. It's about Native Americans. Not a lot that they knew also about Flat Earth. So just join us, okay? I appreciate if you do. We'll see you all in ones, but take care all, and good night and good evening and good morning, because I don't know your time zones. So, but anyways, thanks everyone.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Cheers for jumping in.
Excellent. See you later.
Have a good night.